Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Spiritual Rebels and Misfits podcast. We are really excited that you're here to get weird with us.
And we're going to have all kinds of, absurd ideas playing around with magnificent guests. And we're just going to go to places you always wanted to go. But, couldn't tell mom and dad how you felt about aliens, about channeling. You couldn't say fuck.
I'm Ashley Bradley. I am a mom. I am an intuitive business coach. I'm a business psychic and a channel.
And I am James Lester. I am an open homosexual. I'm a speaker, a writer. I am a member of the recovery community, and I am a queer activist.
And after you listen today, we would love it if you would follow us in one of the podcast places, Spotify, Apple, just to name a few. Subscribe, leave us a review. It helps new people find what we've created. And we thank you for listening. Let's do this. Hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Our usual intro of giggling. It wouldn't be us without it. But I am pretty fucking stoked about this topic and about Crista Marie Miller joining us again. What are you excited about? Because I know that I was trying to get you hyped up on Jesus and sexual magic and all that stuff before we hopped on, because I felt like you needed to feel some of the excitement around this topic and you weren't quite there yet. So,
well, first of all, you just sound like you tried to get me in the weirdest church ever in the way you said that. And you were not talking about Jesus at all. You just
should I share? I had a sign, you guys, yesterday, though, that this topic was thoroughly approved by Yeshua / Jesus, because I was at Body Studios and I was actually doing a session with Crista, and I saw a Jesus, like a air deodorizer kind of thing in the bathroom. And I was about to pee and get ready for my beautiful vibroacoustic sound therapy thing, which is a different episode. But there, above the toilet, was Jesus. And I was like, thank you, Jesus, for that confirmation that you're really excited to talk about sex and magic and the Bible and the women, by the way.
So you were talking to the air freshener.
No, it was kind of this is my internal.
Were you stoned? No. Oh, then fuck.
No. I felt, honestly, though, very I was floating. Yes, that was, I think, before the vibroacoustic, but I had all these amazing spiritual experiences yesterday, 3, which is also a really amazing divine number. And so I did feel like I was floating and just being activated in all of these ways yesterday. So I felt very spiritually high. Yeah.
I wonder, if Jesus does return and he scopes things out, how he's going to feel about an air freshener in a fucking restroom in his image.
Okay. I'll tell you my perspective from, because I did read Dolores Cannon, They Walked with Jesus, and he's did not want to be idolized. He was just kind of with the people, one of the people, everyone is equal. So I think he'd probably be wow,
weirded out.
I think he would probably come back and see his face idolized everywhere in these churches, and he'd probably just be wow. I mean, he's seeing it and experiencing. But yeah, I do feel everything that I have learned and discovered specifically about Yeshua, as he was called in the time, was that there was a lot of religion going on, but there was a lot of hierarchy within the religion. And women, for instance, weren't allowed to go past a certain part in the temple, or, if people weren't of a certain class, they couldn't go as far. And so he would always be on the outside, teaching on the outside of the temple. And he was doing that so that he could be for everyone and with everyone. And it was I think that's what I want to talk about with the women, is that there was actually a lot of women that were with him and that traveled with him. Some of them, not that I know of with Mary Magdalene in particular, but some of them had to disguise themselves as men because they weren't supposed to be out of the house by themselves. And they would actually be placed in different towns, kind of think about it as a grassroots movement, where there might be someone that's the leader of it, but that there was a lot of different people involved in it. And the women played just as important of a role. It was not less than. And he was like one of the few people that wasn't treating women as some kind of like second class citizen at that point. So I feel like he's very here for this part of the topic with the women.
So that's definitely what I'm excited about, is to learn about all these women that kind of have been, you know, bleached out of things, whitewashed out of things, because it happens all throughout history, you know, not just in biblical tales, all throughout history. Women are just like completely bleached out of things. So I'm really like Lilith. We started
Lilith. Let's talk about Lilith. Yeah.
Let's talk about Lilith.
Let's talk about Lilith first off.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. Hey, Lilith.
Hey, girl.
So she was portrayed. What was the definition that you looked up of how she is described in the Bible? A demon. A demon.
And a side note, I am now, your new nickname is Lilith. So take with that what you want.
Well, with this new description, you'll understand why. But there's actually been a lot more women that have started to enter theology and to start to look at all of these tales and to look at a lot of the truth of what was being described. And so the demon part was like fully made up by a man at some point, but she was actually the first woman created. She was made of the same earth as Adam, and he was trying to ask her to be submissive to him. And essentially she was like, fuck no. That. No. She's like, I am created as the same as you. Like God created both of us. Like we are equals. And Adam wasn't really having that. So Lilith like flew off. She just went to get with the archangels and just, you know, serve that higher good. And
I think you inserted the flying off part.
It said something of that nature, but who knows exactly. I know that Adam tried to go and send people after her to like make her come back. And then essentially Eve sprouted up after that. And so you mentioned, I didn't even think about this before with Lilith.
Lilith Fair.
Lilith Fair. Like I never thought about it, but it was talking about how she actually embodies like our sovereignty. I always fuck up that word. Sovereignty and our freedom and our free will choice. And I just feel like it's a totally different view than what we might see if we just took the Bible at face value and did not get curious or ask any questions about it.
Well, yeah, because she's just referred to as a demon throughout it. And if you don't look at
Mary Magdalene as a prostitute. Yeah. So that brings us to some other things, which I do feel like I'll let you know what we're reading from in case you want to grab this, because I know that Crista got me reading the Magdalen Manuscripts, the Alchemies of Horus and the Sex Magic of Isis. And she's right, because she's like about halfway through it slows down and then it picks up. So I am about halfway through, I'll be honest, because I was just reading all of the part of the channeled text of Mary Magdalene. I just like couldn't stop reading that. I couldn't put it down. And then it kind of shifts over into a different part of the story. But the Alchemies of Horus are basically masturbation. It's for when you are doing sex magic alone as an individual. And then the sex magic of Isis is with a partner. And so she's the goddess of magic. And so I did want to show this card because I feel like people might have different meanings when they think of Isis, but it says sexual energy is sacred. My pleasure is a prayer that brings me back to life. So just wanted to introduce in a bit about Isis and kind of just warm you guys up so that you're understanding some of the basics of like why on earth we're putting like sex and magic and women of the Bible into one episode.
So wait, are you reading the part that I asked you to read?
I think the part that I read to you first, right? Okay. So I am going to read you guys a short page just so that you guys also have some context of why the fic. So the sex magic of Isis is based upon the realization that the feminine principle holds within her nature, specifically her sexual nature, an alchemical key. This alchemical key is revealed in the act of what you call love, sexual love. When this is activated strongly enough, the alchemies of Horus spontaneously present themselves. Within my training, it was understood that there were two paths, alchemically speaking, to the same goal. The alchemies of Horus were the foundation of both alchemies or practices, since the same fundamental pathways were used. For those who did not wish to engage in partnership, the alchemies of Horus would provide a means to strengthen and activate the Ka body or spiritual body, I believe it is, to the levels of high initiateship. For those in partnership, the sexual magic of Isis would provide the wings by which they would ascend the Djed and enter the throne of highest consciousness. From my vantage point, I see a great tragedy in that the secrets of the holiness of our sexual natures was made evil by the church fathers. And for nearly 2,000 years now, the most dynamic and one of the most rapid ways to God realization has been made wrong. And I find it indeed ironic that the church has made it a sin and therefore terrified those who might have stumbled upon it.
Mic drop on that shit. I love that so much. I mean, not only for all the women that are kind of buried in the Bible that we're going to be talking about, but for sex in general and how it's been turned into this big, naughty, no thing. And it's beautiful. And it's masturbation is beautiful too. I'm going to go ahead and say it. All right. I'm gonna say it. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I think that we are in a place right now, like, that we do need to be asking questions and realizing that some of the things that have been fed to us for the past 2,000 years and have been thought of as truths are in reality, they are beliefs, right? That we have not been questioning. And it is time for us to really start to ask questions and come to our own truth by feeling into it, by knowing that if it makes us angry or if it feels like there's a big part of us that wants to resist and push against us, that is because it is us clinging on to the fact that the fabric of all of our reality now has to be questioned. Because if we question that we were conditioned to believe that, that means that, oh, wow, well, I have to question everything. So I think that that's a really important thing also to remember for those of you that are on a spiritual path like us, that when you are out in the world and when you are sharing your magic and sharing your gifts, if you do find people that are resisting you, just remember that they're going through that process as well, that like, it's not just that one isolated thing for them. It is like their entire world concept that they are being asked to question. And so I just want everyone to like keep that in mind and really know that it's not about them when they get those reactions. Sorry, I just like kind of had to.
No, I love that because we do have to be patient with one another because we are at different levels of questioning the fabric of our existence. I know we're going to pull Crista in, but isn't there another part from that book I asked you to read?
Yes.
And before
story.
So hold on. I asked Ashley to read this. In 50 Shades of Grey. Okay, so
okay. So this is Magdalen. Okay,
thank you.
I will forever remember the first time that Yeshua came to me after his resurrection. It was a new moon. The sky was clear. A light fog hung over the heather and everything was silver from the light of the moon and the stars. I saw a figure approaching, and on the windy trail it led to my cottage. Ironically, I had just gone outside to draw water from the well, and there he was. He looked the same, yet with a radiance unmistakable. My eyes filled with tears and my heart trembled, and I ran to him, stopping short. Okay, it's fine. I'll stop there.
And to get more of that, we have a 1-900 number set up for
If you'd
Ashley.
like my recording.
The Mystic Madam. 1-900 Mystic Madam.
You guys, we have to fucking fund the podcast somewhere. James's OnlyFans page is also available.
No one's subscribing to that shit.
Okay. Anyway, where were we? I think we should pull in Crista. I think that if you guys have questions, then we're here for it. So please let us know if you're here. Let us know where you're listening from, because we really want to feel like we're next to you guys, just like all connecting and, you know, sharing in this beautiful moment. So talk to us. Let us know where you're watching from. So Crista, we're going to pull you in, girl. Hi.
I'm just loving all this.
Chris is, she's like, why did I agree to do this podcast again?
Actually, this whole topic was built around Crista.
Oh, Like this is it just oozes me. Ooze my camera here a little bit. Okay, there we go. Yeah, like thank you for having me on to discuss this. I haven't really gone too public about this information. So this is really, but I mean, all my close friends and family know that I just preach about this and just say how important the alchemies of Horus is and the sex magic of Isis. I have been practicing this since I was 7 years old. So I learned this at a very early age about the sacred act of getting into its manifestation. It's manifestation magic and building a light body. So I was highly sexualized as a child, and it just since I was, Magdalene came in and started talking to me about this very early on, and I just, when I came upon the Magdalen Manuscript, worn because I've had it for many years, but when I came upon it, it was like, oh my, like I just couldn't stop crying because I was like, this is exactly what she was telling me. Exactly. She gave me a lot more information than was in this book, but it's like, this is a great jumping off point. So I highly recommend this book. It definitely does that. And Ashley, don't feel bad. I talked to Jesus, Yeshua at Body Studios.
Above the toilet.
It cracks me up that you're sitting there watching us peep.
I love it. You know the exact thing I was talking about. Sorry, my nose is like running as if I feel like I went into a bit of channeling in my tirade for a moment because I'm like, my nose is doing the thing that it does when I'm usually doing reading. So pardon me, but yeah.
It's freaking awesome. Yeah, so again, like this is a topic near and dear to my heart, and I love that.
Can you talk about the parrot for a second because it's screeching in the background? Can you just maybe let people know what they're hearing so that they're not like, what is fucking happening?
Mom, I can't bring him in on a podcast. Can you carry him in, please? Okay. So the parrot is upset that I'm not in the same room as him. Clear.
It's her imp.
Huh?
It's your imp, right?
It is like he flew into my parents' backyard and started eating from my hand, and now he is like legit attached to me, and you can hear him screaming when I am not in the room with him. He screams, and so that's my new baby. So my mom is gonna bring him in so he doesn't flip out anymore. So yeah, that
that's
is
so funny.
Does not have a name yet because I'm still waiting to see if anybody claims him. I have to wait 2 weeks and have him posted. I have him posted everywhere around in the neighborhood and things like that to see if anybody does claim him. But I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Pretty sure.
I think so. Yeah. Yes.
He's my baby.
So I would love to have you talk more about like the connection with Magdalene and Jesus, like, because I think the sex magic and her really actually being a sexual partner with Jesus, I think is a really important aspect to talk about. So do you want to share that part, Crista?
Yeah, hold on 1 second while they put the bird next to me.
We could have got him his own camera and set up and just pulled him in as a guest, you know?
There you go, buddy.
Okay. Each time I start channeling, he starts talking along. He like gets.
Oh my gosh.
He's like. It's like whenever I get into that higher energy, I'll show him. Here's my baby.
Okay.
No, I didn't hear you guys. So that's okay.
Don't ask me. I said hi.
Okay.
Hi, guys. Bye.
Bye, Krista's mom.
Okay.
I love her.
I know.
Okay. And see, now he's quiet. Okay. So we got to go back.
Okay.
We talk about Yeshua and Magdalene. We got to start with Isis, and it actually starts a little like before even Isis, because So this is my understanding. Take what you want and leave the rest. Okay, this is my understanding. So what originally came was Hathor. And Hathor is a light being colony that came and helped assist us in evolution. They modulated our DNA to go from the quote unquote missing link. There were 3 distinct light being colonies that came and did this, and Hathor is one of them. I am ultimately Hathor. That is part of who I am. Hathor, so Isis was a priestess goddess for Hathor. Hathor is the original one who brought in the sensation of orgasm into our physical body. So we originally have to go back to the OG, original orgasm. Original gasm. I like that. Okay. Words here. That we can all think that to Hathor.
So instead of "oh God" during sex, we should be like "oh Hathor." Got it. Writing this down.
And if anybody has seen my logo, the Hathor symbol is actually the woman's clitoris with cow horns coming over, the libido and everything. And that is the symbol for Hathor. The more you know, folks.
Maybe like a reading rainbow to go by real quick.
Yeah. So go ahead. I did not have clues here because I didn't know where this was going to go. Ashley, can you show the picture of Isis again?
Yes.
Because
on her crown.
Isis has the Hathor crown on top of her.
Okay, it's
Up here.
I never knew. So it's amazing to know.
Yeah, and that's actually also on the priestess card in the tarot deck.
Okay.
Hathor also represents into Hinduism as well. As whenever you see Krishna, they always have the cow with the horns, and that is Hathor. So there you go. Isis was a priestess of Hathor, and she was the one who Isis, Osiris, and Horus were the original Holy Trinity. So they were the original father, son, mother, father, son. The original Holy Trinity. The Christian story of Mother Mary actually came from Isis and Osiris and Horus. Mother Mary was Isis reincarnated. This is where we get, and Mother Mary was Isis reincarnated, and again, also a priestess in the lineage of Isis. I am an initiate of Isis, some people call it the cult of Isis, some people call it the priestesshood of Isis. There's lots of different names, all the same. So, and Isis really taught how the sex magic. She taught the alchemies. I don't know where the alchemies of Horus came from, because Horus was her son. I have not gotten the downloaded information of how that became into masturbation, but it is, you can achieve the same type of goal through masturbation along with sex magic with a partner. Okay, they're talking to me. So they're saying you can through solo, but in order for, thank you. Oh, this is so fascinating. Okay. When 2 partners come together, they're saying the sex organs don't matter. It can be male, male. It can be female, female. So one person has to hold the masculine energy. One person has to hold the feminine energy. They're saying genitalia has nothing to do with this, and they really want to make that clear. One person holds the masculine, one person holds the feminine, and when you guys literally come together, you create and strengthen your light body. That is the true way to strengthen your light body. But it must be done as a partner.
Talk about like how are you going to go there about the specifics of like the partnership before people try that? Okay. Because I felt like that was a good distinction.
And then the alchemies of Horus or masturbation, that is used for manifestation. Because in order to, and so many people forget about this, but in order to properly manifest, you must be in your bliss body. And how is the funnest way to get into your bliss body but orgasm? There are other ways to get into your bliss body, like free fall, roller coasters. Anytime you're in that suspended release of exhilaration, that is your bliss body. And that's how, and you can also get through your bliss body through meditation.
I know that Crystal, who's like a sex and shadow coach that has been on a few times, talks about how we need to remember that that's life force energy, that sexual energy and orgasmic energy is life force energy. And that's how we create babies through having sex, is it's life force energy. So for anyone that's like having trouble connecting pleasure and orgasm, like with spirituality, I think that was a really good distinction for me.
Yeah, we call it Sekhem. In the Isis lineage, it's spelled, oh my goodness, Sekhem, and that is the life force. It literally means what makes things erect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Literally in the male, and then also. So that is the Sekhem, and that's the life force energy, but it also makes things erect in your Jed, which is your sacral pathway up the spine.
Okay.
Okay, where are we going next? Okay, Yeshua and Magdalene, how they got together. We'll go through there. Yeah, that's what they want to. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
So this was kind of an arranged marriage in a way. Mother Mary was gathering water by a well. All these things, like with Magdalene, like major life changes have always happened next to water wells. But they have. In this, and it's funny, is because Magdalene's told me there are many different versions of this story, because her and Yeshua's story has happened across so many different timelines. So
I love that.
many different versions of the way this happened, and they're all accurate. There is no wrong version. The ultimate goal, the ultimate she's just using sexual terms for me today. She's like, the ultimate climax was the creation of the light body. And I'm like, okay.
Let it rip, Crista. No holding back.
Mother Mary, we just call her Mary in this lineage. Mary was by the well, saw that Magdalene was already an initiate of Isis. And how you were able to tell initiates of Isis is and I'm going to be getting this tattoo soon. It's a gold snake band on the upper arm. Okay. That symbolizes that you're an initiate of Isis. And so she had that tattoo, and Mary saw that and saw her life force energy already inside of her. Mary told me once that she just glowed. She just had it bursting within her of just this sensuality, sexuality, manifestation, sacred feminine. And she's like, that's the one for my son. That's the one who needs to help him along with his journey. Around this time was Yeshua had just come back from studying in the East. And so he learned meditation. He learned the ways of Buddhism. And he went down into India and studied Hinduism. And so those missing years, he was studying the Eastern religions. Wow. And so he knew how to get into the correct state of energy in order to come together with Magdalene. Copulate. There we go. He had never been with a woman before, because he held it in such sacred union that he was waiting for the right person.
I have a quick question, because some people think that Jesus actually might have been gay or like very fluid with his sexual partnerships, maybe on a different timeline, but that I am personally a fan of the gay Jesus theory, but I don't know.
He was fluid. He was definitely fluid and flow, which we could all ultimately end up being.
I think that, yeah, I think that I've seen that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel the more spiritual I get, the more fluid my sexuality becomes. where it's just like everybody is beautiful and everybody is sexy, and it's just like
It's energetic and spiritual. Yeah. Yeah. I
so
feel you.
it is Yeshua was definitely flow, but he had never penetrated a woman prior to Magdalene because of the sacred act. And again, I was taught this very early on as from Magdalene, that you do not allow anybody to enter your body unless 4 things are present. And these 4 things, and I hold this very, very true for me. As a woman and as a masculine energy, you have different guidelines. But as a woman, you need to be honored. Numero uno. You need to be honored on all fronts. You need to feel safe, meaning like if you walk down a dark alley with your partner, and again, this has nothing to do with genitalia. This could be like a masculine, feminine person or masculine woman that you're with, okay? You make it extremely clear. You need to feel honored. You need to feel safe. Like if you're walking down, you're going to be protected. Like they're going to jump in front of a dodging train for you. You need to feel secure, meaning they're not going to go anywhere. They're not going, they don't want to use the word cheat, but they're going to be with you and only you, unless you guys do bring other people into the mix. But it is really only the 2 of you when you are in the sacred act of sex magic or alchemies. It should only be you 2 connected. Secure, safe, honored, and then finally, the woman needs to be able to literally blossom and open up and receive. Because if those first 3 things are not present, she will not properly open up and receive. And if you do not properly open up and receive, blockages occur.
So how many times have we followed this advice?
I don't know that. I don't think he's asking you specifically, but
these are like, I'm very, very like, yeah. Yeah, nobody can literally penetrate me unless all those 4 aspects are there. Yeah.
Just so you know, man, Crista ain't fucking around, all right?
No, it takes a lot to get with me. But when you do, you're God. Fireworks.
She's just saying.
And for the men, it's very similar. You also need to be honored as the protector. The masculine energy needs to be honored as the protector. You need to be honored as, providing. The masculine energy comes with the penetration energy. It comes with the action energy. It comes with bam, bam, bam. And you got to honor that. And the men have to like just bring it and say, this is who I am and this is what I have to offer. And I'm going to take action. And then the women have to open up and receive. Okay. So it's still honor, safety, and security, but then they have to come in with legit penetration and love. Sacred.
I don't think that you're saying though that like the woman can't be like, okay, now you're submitting and now I'm going to get more dominant, and you can kind of go those places in other sexual ways, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, there's no on here.
You guys are welcome. I know someone had the question, so you're welcome.
I think you had the question.
I was like, asking for a friend. Let's
see, I'm just going to go there because we're there already. The great thing is there can be a reversal. There can be a reversal of the masculine and feminine. So if someone usually takes the feminine role, a beautiful sacred relationship, they should be able to switch at times.
Love it. Thank you for that.
Yeah. It's part of inhibiting and allowing the light body to be manifested. So Mary hooked up Yeshua and Magdalene, said, hey, you guys get together. But it was legit, almost like love at first sight. When they met at that well, Yeshua and Magdalene like to each other. They're like, and Magdalene always said it was his eyes. his eyes that did it for her. She's one of the original people that said the windows are the eyes of the soul, because she was just in and all in. And that's what started their sacred union. And they both knew going forward, because Yeshua at that time had already knew how things would transpire. He knew he would be, and he knew that he would be sacrificed for the greater good, because he was actually in talks with the Roman Empire. This was all orchestrated in order for, but Yeshua didn't want to become a martyr. He didn't want to become somebody to idolize. It was a political statement at the time of allowing, because it gets real dicey, of allowing not, it was like kind of like an FU to the government of like, yeah, I am a badass, but I'm going to allow you to do this in order for my people to see how sacrifice allows you to open up more spiritually, and allows just that faith and sacrifice, knowing that this is part of the path and the plan. But it was definitely, and also a huge, huge reason. So Magdalene helped Yeshua. So Yeshua, I'm sorry if I'm stepping on toes here, but this is my understanding. Yeshua did not die for our sins. But what he did was, Magdalene and him, they created one of the strongest light bodies possible, that also helped him with his medium. He was a physical medium, and it helped him with his intuition. It literally helped him perform miracles. All the miracles were because of the sex magic with Magdalene that they were doing, because it got them literally closer to God in that form. And so each and every time that they held it, and this is not tantric sex, this is very, very different. This is not Kundalini energy. This is extremely different than the two, because what you're doing with you're creating your light body here on Earth, which is so difficult. When we're in, alternate galaxies, our light body's easy, because that's what we mainly are in. But in this human realm, creating the light body is what it is. And what does the light body do? The light body helps us connect to source. It helps us connect to our light being guides. It helps, the more and more you vibrate out with this light body. Yes, he likes that. The more you vibrate out with this light body, the more you can connect in with source and spirit.
Maybe Yeshua is coming to us through the parrot. Can I just put that theory out there?
I was thinking of calling him Yeshua, believe it or not.
Is there any significance to the number 7 for you as well? Because for whatever reason, I keep seeing a number 7, a golden number 7 behind you. So, and I just felt like I had to tell you. So sorry to interrupt. Just,
my spirit number is 711. 711 and 911 are my spirit numbers. The 711 for me represents that I'm on the spiritual right path for my human experience. And then 911 is I'm on the right universal path of my spirit, soul consciousness. So that's my 2 spirit numbers. So 711, 911.
Okay. Well, maybe they're just trying to give you signs that that you need to be talking about this shit more, girl.
So what Magdalen Yeshua did was they created his light body to be so strong. And then when he did cross over, like whenever you've heard somebody die, they say, oh, I went into the light. I went into the light. I saw a bright light at the end of the tunnel. Yeshua literally paved that path with his light body, was so strong. He created that light tunnel. Before Yeshua crossed over on the cross, in that time frame, there's another time frame that he did survive the crucifixion, but that's another story for another day. But in most of the timelines, he did cross over on the cross. It's interesting. I never made that connection.
Interesting.
Right? I'm like, okay. But when he did perish on the cross, his light body paved a way, because before that, when people crossed over, they would literally cross over into darkness, and their soul would not know exactly where to go. But then when Yeshua crossed, he had that strong light body where it's like, oh, now I have a light to follow. Now I know where to go. And 10 times more powerful than dying for our sins.
Yeah, the tunnel of light, or the light that we see, that or even in how it's represented in the Pixar movie Soul. Yeah, that I think that's, when you say that to me, I'm like, oh, it makes so much sense. And I also think that everyone talks about how Yeshua was glowing, and that all of the portrayals of him, like it's always that, like, yeah, just like it's all this glowing white light around him. And so it's just interesting to even think about how he's depicted now, although he seems really white. And I'm pretty sure that we could say that Jesus was not a white man. And what do you have to say about that?
Sorry, America.
Very dark skinned, very not so much of African American or African skin, or it was kind of like a mix between African and Indian skin. Very mocha creamy color. But you have these crystal blue eyes that penetrated you, which is extremely rare in those times. And that's what people were really drawn to, and what really made him stand out was those blue eyes. He's saying maybe green hazel was more the color, but very, very unique. Yeah, he's just confirming all that. So yeah, that's what Yeshua did, and he achieved that from being with Magdalene.
James, do you want to jump in? Because I just feel like I'm just like, oh, what about this? So what about this? Like, do you have specific things?
I'm just taking in the education. I, of course, I like to fancy myself a male feminist. I want to hear some, Crista, like some of the women that you feel have really got the raw end of the deal as we've moved through history. The women, like, I didn't really know about Lilith until, Ashley and I were talking about it before we started the podcast. Is there any women besides Mary that you feel really have gotten the raw deal, or are not really celebrated from the Bible or that time period?
Well, there are so many unsung heroes. There were actually at one point more female disciples than there were male disciples. They were the mass majority of their stories have been burned and shredded and lost to history. But at one point, Yeshua said he had 35 female disciples and 20 male disciples. So, and the way that Yeshua chose you as a disciple is that he, the more and more he practiced meditation and connection he could see a person's light body. He could see a person's connection to source and how much they actually worked on themselves. And if they worked upon themselves and their connection again to source, that was how he invited them in. There was never, again, to my understanding, there was never you must go through me in order to get to God. Yeshua strongly taught that you have the connection and you have God inside of you. That spark of God in people. And if they honored that spark and they saw it in themselves, that's how they became a disciple, in order to help teach other people to see that spark of God inside of them.
Yes. And it's interesting because I feel very puzzled by the fact that like only men are present in the church, that like they are the only ones. And I'd say I hear that there's more modern churches where that's shifting, which is amazing. But I feel like who were the people that were essentially channeling, and like they were coming down from the mountain? Like, were they called prophets back then? But there was like these male representations of channeling, I feel like, in the Bible, right?
If I pronounce it right, the Essenes?
Oh, I know. I've heard of that before. Okay.
Yeshua just corrected me. He's like, they were the Essenes.
Essenes, yeah.
That's what Yeshua really worked with. So they were prophets. They were male prophets here on earth. Light beings, though, they weren't human.
Yeah. Yes.
They weren't human. And Yeshua was in direct connection with them and went and, again, learned through them. There was this cave that he would go into and learn from these light beings, because at that time, light beings were very much among humans.
Interesting. So he would go into a cave, you said, and it's interesting because I just had this very interesting meditation vision going into a cave, and so
you told me
I'm curious.
Themed. I'm like, yay!
And it was kind of like light language and things like that on the cave. And there was a ship that was within the cave, and there was all of these crystals, and there was like a not of this world craft inside of this cave, but they were all like glowing in these different colors. And so I don't know the significance of that. I just saw it in this very deep state of meditation. And the last time I did the vibroacoustic sound therapy, I saw that I was going to be pregnant before I actually knew, after many different readings told me about it. But I saw these angels coming and working on my womb. So this is why I'm saying this is important, that there's something, I don't know, sidetrack. Sorry.
Well, no, light beings have been part of this journey since the beginning of time, and it's unfortunate. Why are you covering them, Mom? Sorry.
It's like you have a new baby in the house now with this bird.
I don't know why Mom is covering my bird with a blanket. Okay, I won't pay attention to it. I love my mom. But they're still here. The light beings are still here. They are like, Yeshua's like, they're undercover. They're secret agents. I'm like, Yeshua's so, you ever like, he's a freaking crack up. But they are cloaked because they don't want to, it would be more of a shit show if they showed themselves. Then, but it was mainly what people call the Essenes were part of, again, to my understanding, that they were part of the tall whites that are still part of coming and giving us information today. In lineage to Hathors.
You're starting to go way into my language, and I'm loving it. I mean, now that we're here, not to take away from the points of like women, but I mean, if you look at biblical portraits and paintings, there's always crafts in the very far distance. So it was always hinted at. And, you know, it's starting to come up now, but it's always been hinted at all throughout history that light beings have been here. Mm-hmm. So now you're starting to get me all revved up about this.
It's 100% true. I've known this my whole life, right?
The bird knows too.
Confirmation. Fuck yeah. Thank you, Yeshua.
Well, shit.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Oh, whoa.
This bird is a crack up. How do we book with a bird for next time? I'm just saying.
He's definitely today. It's like whenever I get into a topic that he likes, he goes like berserk.
Oh shit.
Oh my gosh. So I know that you and I both have talked a lot about Dolores Cannon. And so I do think, like, I'd say the Keepers of the Garden was like a really good one that talks about like the beginnings of life and sort of I think like the Adam and Eve story, but like a very different perspective on what happened and how life was seeded here. And then They Walk with Jesus, or there is one of her books that I do want to read next, Jesus and the Essenes. Have you read that one?
I've only read Custodians, and now I'm like a quarter of the way in through Convoluted Universe.
Okay. So. Yeah. I think Jesus and the Essenes. And so everything that she's receiving is from somebody that's under a deep state of hypnosis, that's accessing their subconscious and their past life memories. So it's like direct encounters. And from my perspective, for someone that doesn't channel like Crista, right? It's kind of like the next best thing to like really hear people's encounters who were there at the time, and different pieces are put together from it. So I think that might be a good resource for people that want to go deeper. Like, what other things would you point people towards that want to keep going on this?
Keep going on the channeling of
the learning of like the sex magic and like Jesus, like a different view of Yeshua, Jesus, than maybe the traditional Christian viewpoint.
There's so much. So at the age of 16, I became Gnostic, and Gnostic talks about the sex magic rituals. And so I consider myself Gnostic Christian. So the Gnostic Bible has a lot of information in there. I think they even, oh my goodness, what was that movie? The Da Vinci Code. Remember?
Oh.
they talk about how she was freaked out because she saw a sex magic act, and her grandfather was Gnostic. And so Dan Brown really got it right with the Da Vinci Code. He did his research, and that's a pretty good book, even though it's very pop culture. It was very good. So yeah, the Gnostic, anything Gnostic related is going to point you in the right direction. Thank you.
River just wanted to let us know, love the parrot talking. Oh, it went away.
Good. River,
I just saw it. She read it. Yeah.
both of you. Yeah, I know nothing. This is my third day with the bird. I don't know what I'm doing. I just realized I'm a toddler. That's all I've realized so far. 'Cause, yeah. I know. Yeah, I'm talking about you.
You crack me up, Crista. And so where else were we? Oh, I think this book, would you say the Magdalen Manuscript is like the best book that kind of talks about if people do want to like look into the alchemies of Horus and how they can channel their energies? Is that the best book to learn about that?
Yes. Hold on one second.
Square box
Square box.
right there.
Perfect. Had to get something from my dad.
Hi, Dad.
Hi.
Want to say hi, Dad?
Everyone say hi to Krista's dad that's watching. Give him a shout out. Throw him some hearts. Throw the parrot some hearts, some rainbow emojis.
I'm so blessed to have a family where I can just openly talk about this and they just walk in and it's just nothing.
Right?
I get those pencils.
Yeah. To learn about like the alchemies of Horus or the sex magic of Isis, if someone's like, fuck yeah, like I want to channel these energies for manifestation, what would you point them towards?
Excellent book to start off with. I will be having my own doctrine book coming out soon. Because I take it probably a good 10 steps past this book of getting more into detail of, because we could probably we're already at, that time, but I didn't even do the process of the sex magic and how you do it. Yep.
That bird has been a cock blocker now.
I think the book does like break it down like to where it gives at least the basic steps for how you're like going to pull the energy up. So like, I think that it would probably be better for people to have it written down anyway, so that they can have like a reference point,
Yeah. It's a great book. Let me see here. That's all I can really, like I said, I'm not really book read. So I just I'm kind of spoiled where I just get my information from source. But this is, oh my goodness. Kathleen McGowan, she's probably one of my favorite authors. So she wrote The Expected One. Shout out to her. So she wrote The Expected One, and that was an excellent book on the Magdalene Yeshua story. And she got it really freaking right too. Let me see here. There's another book called Mary Called Magdalene that is also a good one. And like I said, in the Gnostic Bible there is a book of Magdalene, and they actually talk about how, and they said, and Yeshua would kiss her upon the lips and loved her most above all disciples. And so there was just multiple confirmations that they were in a sacred union. And so that was definitely in the Gnostic Bibles or the Nag Hammadi library.
Sophia is in the Gnostic texts as well, right?
Yeah. So Sophia is just like the ultimate divine Christ consciousness expression.
I think we should do a whole episode maybe at some point on Sophia. For
sure. She's, for me, Sophia is very much more of an energy than an actual human being. Yeshua actually coined the term Sophia to her because it was just because it works with, it's like that, just that divine feminine energy coming in and holding space and whenever Sophia comes in for me, it's kind of like just this womb carrying warmness of let me, and it's not even sacred mother, it's just sacred feminine of let me hold you, let me pull you into my chest and just smother you. That's what I feel with Sophia of,
Yeah.
of just, yes.
That was when you told me about the Magdalen Manuscript, like I had happened and like seen the Sophia Code. And so I actually went and I was like, oh, I feel like I'm supposed to read this one. So I actually got that one first. And it's all of these kind of like light code activations from these different, I would call them the women ascended masters, since we don't hear about as many of them. So personally, I really enjoy those. It's totally a different thing, but it's also really fucking powerful. So I love that one.
Yeah. You remember the woman who wrote the Sophia Code?
Kaya Ra, the channel. Yeah.
Yeah. She's a perfect example of a divine feminine channeler. And the information that she was able to download into that book was fantastic. So yeah, that's a great book too. And, you know, Isis is in there. Is Magdalene in there too? I don't remember.
I think yes. Yeah, I know that Kuan Yin and Green Tara and White Buffalo Woman. I'm trying to think who else. Oh, Kali, I'm pretty sure is one of them. I think, right?
Kelly's awesome. You guys get a chance when you were in Sedona to see Green Tara's temple?
We didn't. No, it was such a quick like day that we had during daylight, so it was very fleeting.
That Buddhist temple with the prayer spinning things.
The peace
Yeah.
park.
The path right next to there. Green Tara's temple was there too. So.
Oh, well, just a reason to go back. Okay. I know we are like just keeping you and like taking all of your time, and the parrot's getting fucking jealous. So I don't want to piss him off. And I really appreciate you because I could literally just ask a million questions to you endlessly. So thank you for being here. And I would love to lure you back. Maybe we talk about Sophia or something else. Just let us know whenever you want to come back and what you want to talk about, basically.
Be a regular guest.
For sure.
Yes.
You and Joshua the parrot.
Yeshua.
Yeshua.
Apologize to the parrot, please.
I'm going in
Amends to the parrot.
You're in Yeshua. Yeah, I like an Jupiter for him too. So we'll see.
Thank you, Crista.
Thank you so much, Crista.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi.
Hi.
So what was your favorite part? Tell me like what was I think the aliens, right? Like how this really should have been the missing sex magic women and galactic light beings.
Yeah, galactic light beings. We've got to stop saying aliens. We've got to pull it out of our vocabulary. But no, like I'm endlessly fascinated about why we feel the need to disempower women. Like I honestly think about it for hours on end sometimes. You know how I get about this, about why men are so threatened by women. And, you know, and then they get to like the church. And I don't, anyone listening, don't get me wrong. I think there are some lovely churches. I think there's a lot of source conscious people that, you know, are part of churches. But, you know, overall, why do we feel the need to pluck women from their seat of power, of divine feminine energy? So it fascinates me. And you know how I go into it's because women can get pregnant and men are secretly jealous of that power. But, you know, it fascinates me.
They're portals. Yeah. Life portals. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, think about it, men. We can't create life within ourselves, sustain that life afterwards. We're secretly jealous. That's the ultimate strength in life, isn't it? To be able to create new life. But it fascinates me how far back that goes. But then of course the light beings, like I think we should definitely, you know, I'll go into ancient aliens all day long, girl. You know.
I know. I do want to say before we go that we do have a different date. We had to push our cacao ceremony back by 1 week because I did not post it quick enough, but I posted it now. So even better, actually, Spirit fucking delayed it because it's the spring equinox the next day. So we just got divinely corrected. So yeah, it's just that. But so it's going to be Friday, March 19th. So 2 weeks from today, after the podcast, there's a little half-hour break, and then 6:30 Pacific time. But it's gonna be on Zoom. So you do need to hop into our group and register. There's an actual link to register that Solange is gonna drop, and that's going to basically let us know. It's gonna get you the Zoom link, but it is gonna be interactive. So it's not gonna be live like this.
And if any of you have a question about what necessarily a cacao ceremony is, Ashley did break it down in a short video in our group. And you can also ask the question in our Facebook group, because this is a round table. Everyone's invited to participate in conversations, but I think it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
But if we keep asking the same question for efficiency's sake, I'm just gonna tag them into the post explaining it. James volunteers to explain the same thing in many different things. I'm just for efficiency, you know? Like, it's that toddler mom life over here.
Okay. Well, I like when.
But you're welcome to ask, and then we're gonna tag you. And yeah, I think that it's gonna be really beautiful and amazing for us to come together and to activate one another. It's like I really see this as being a time of receiving and allowing with the cacao, and sort of opening to saying yes to what's in our vortex. And then I do feel like the energy of spring is like this time of renewal and of blossoming and new beginnings. I'm like tripping over my words, but yeah, I think it's going to be really powerful energetically to combine that specific ritual and ceremony with the energy of spring. What else? Anything I'm forgetting, my dear?
Clothing optional. I'm saying. We're gonna get spring equinox about it. Clothing optional. And
you guys,
also just so you know, it is a free event, but it is, there is a donation option, and it'd be awesome if you guys can donate, and understand that it goes all towards the podcast. Ashley does pay a lot of out-of-pocket fees to keep the podcast going out of love, and we also want to expand the podcast. We want to have like cool like mugs. Like plan a trip maybe one day.
I have some fucking Sedona like retreats with spiritual rebels and misfits. So this is going to help us expand our community. And yeah, so of course everyone is welcome. No one will be turned away. But if you do have the ability to just throw in some money for an energy exchange, we would greatly appreciate that.
Clothing optional. Make this work.
We're like, and then for next month, we're going to do, instead of mud wrestling, it's going to be some cacao wrestling. So just tune into that.
That'd be awesome. We should start that. That will like be the thing that really cacao wrestling.
Or instead of regular porn, it's like sex magic porn where it like activates your light body at the same time. I don't know. You know what? I'm speaking things into possibility right now. So
my light body gets activated with some porn already. So I'm just saying.
I think we should just leave it at that. But thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Bye, everyone.